their why. Eddie is a master at that, getting to know their why. And what you said yesterday about using that and reminding them of their why when they start to go sideways, because we all do it. Director 7, Courtney Flota, is a good friend of mine from college. We played volleyball together. I was taller back then. She called me one day about a health concern. She wanted some help with her son and a nutrition plan, but there was something more. We ended up talking on the phone for over an hour and a half, and we realized we had a lot of similarities. She told me some things that made me realize how much Maluka could help her, how much I could help her. I said, Courtney, can I fly to Mississippi and just spend some time with you? And I'd also love to show you what I do. She enrolled, and I think her value pack got there about 3 or 4 days before I was to fly in. And I said, by the way, while I'm coming, I would love to share this with your friends since you love the products. Do you want to have a few over? She said, how about 20? I said, that sounds great. Courtney and I have formed a bond and a friendship that is really special to me. And I'm very grateful for everything that she's done for me. It's really important to know their why, because Courtney was struggling a little bit a couple months ago, and it was important that I knew why she was building this business and to remind her what a great leader she is and that she can do this. And Courtney, you can come and sit up in this row soon. Strategically inviting is a big piece of adding names to your contact list and approaching, and you're going to hear a lot of great approaches from Sandy. But do you not think Eddie invested in Kim, strategically invited himself to her house? There was a plan there. I think you have to know when the right time is, not only to approach, but to invite them and to present for them, and that's all in building the relationship. Don't pounce and be patient. Again, I see so many people walk in somewhere and just pounce right on that person. Jason and I were shopping when we got here with our kids on Tuesday, and we added 2 names to our contact list. Just friendly salespeople that, I thought were great and just appreciated their service and asked for their business card. Didn't say anything about Maluka. Maybe we'll go back and buy something else from them, honey. Sometimes we have to invite to several events. Michelle Smith's great at this. Lance is probably even better. They do a lot of sporting events with their kids. They get to know people and build the relationship before they invite or approach, and they do it strategically, something they taught us very well. Chris and Melissa Cretin, what he didn't tell you last night is that I asked him to go to lunch every single time we flew into Louisiana, and they told me no. They were busy. And hopefully he's okay with me sharing this story, but I called Melissa and I said, do you know anybody in Covington that has a financial need? I'm looking to really expand my business. She said, could you please call Chris's ex-wife? She needs some money. I said, sure. I took Chris's ex-wife out to lunch, and I checked with Melissa, Chris, we're all right. I took Ann out to lunch, and she enrolled with a value pack, and I called them, and I said, you guys could do this, and she wants to build a business. And they said, oh, we'll think about it. I got a phone call 30 minutes later. Chris and Melissa said, you didn't tell me you made $21,000 a month. I said, I've been trying to take you to lunch for 6 months. And I was getting on a plane, so Jason and I had to fly back and sit down with them. And it took a little while. When he said we dripped on them, they were a little more difficult. Timing is sometimes everything. New executive director Melissa Daigle is having a baby right now. She can't be here. When we talk about changing the game, Jason and I, when we had Cruise 3 years ago, although it was a joyous occasion, it was scary. We didn't know how we were going to provide for our expanding family. Coming home, the emotion I can't even explain. Jason explains that it's just very, very scary. I called Melissa the other day and I said, you're an executive director, you made a $21,000 paycheck, and you're having a little boy tomorrow. We got to change the game for her. Melissa didn't fly out the gates. It took her 6 months to get to director. She sat at director 5 for 5 or 6 months. If she was here today, she'd be sitting right up in the front. Sometimes we have to love them and believe in them more than they believe in themselves. The last thing I want to share with you today is to become a master at fishing for people. Jason and I were sitting in church one day, and this hit us, and he looked at me and he goes, "Eddie." I go, "I know." He said, "We know Eddie's a good fisherman, but he's a master at fishing for people." Everybody on this front row are masters at fishing for good people, investing in them, strategically inviting them, and finding really good people to help. Noelle Morrissey's great at this. Her last director 2, Sarah, she met at a car wash in Evergreen. So go to a car wash. That's a great way to add names to your contact list. And Noelle has a heart of gold, and she knew this girl had a need, and she knew she could help her. I think we do need to treat that contact list like our $15,000 inventory. Every time I look at that composition notebook, I think of that treadmill that we spent a lot of money on. We do need to invest in people and in their relationships, building those relationships, strategically invite them, be a master at fishing for good people, and come back next year in a better seat. Change your game. If you're already in a great seat, bring somebody else back in a better seat. Thank you for your time.
Well, I'm here to talk about follow-up. And follow-up. When I first enrolled in Melaleuca, you kind of heard my story. We started growing really fast. And so we went to senior right away, and then executive director in the first 5-6 months. And then before my 12th month, we achieved the level of executive director 6. And so we had a lot of enrollments. But something happened. Our business kind of plateaued. We were still growing, but we were getting a tsunami of cancellations. I mean, we would enroll, 1,000 customers in a month, but we would lose 1,200. So we were going minus, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. So I remember I called Jeff, and I told him, what's going on? I mean, the harder I work, the more cancellations we get. And then we reviewed what we were doing, and I realized that I was paying attention only on enrolling customers. I was not teaching, because I was not doing it myself, to follow up. To be honest with you, when I first started in the business, I realized, here, I made a big mistake. I started doing presentations, and when we get to the part of talking about the preferred program, I would kind of skip by it. I would be like, well, Melaleuca, they have this backup order, and that's a product they'll ship you if you don't place your order. But anyways, let me tell you about the income opportunity. This is great. And then I would just focus on the income opportunity. So I would spend more time on the income opportunity than the products, and I would take probably 30 seconds or less about the preferred program. So I knew I had to change that. So Jeff told me, okay, you need to start focusing more on doing the follow-up. So what I did is I made another mistake. I called all the leaders, and some of them they may remember, and I told them, okay, you know what, we're losing all these customers. Stop everything you're doing. Let's call all of the customers that are canceling, and let's make sure they place an order again. So we did that month, and we have one of the worst months I've ever had in Melaleuca because there was no enrollments anymore. It was just follow-up on customers that were already upset because they got a backup order. So we had a terrible month. So I said, okay, that's not the way to go. And then I was frustrated. So my business didn't grow for the next almost a year. We were stuck at Executive 6 for about a year because we had to go back to teaching the principle of following up. So from that point forward, I started talking about follow-up in every single conference call. I do a conference call every Monday night. Every single conference call we would talk about it. Every training we would talk about it. And now I would take time to explain how the preferred program works. And nowadays, the way I do it, when I'm doing my presentation, when I get to the preferred program part, I say, listen, you see all these benefits that you're going to get with Melaleuca, but let me tell you one thing. The backup order, the way it works is like this. The month that you don't, place your order, but you didn't cancel, the company will send you a backup order. You can cancel at any time if you want, but if you don't, and you don't cancel before the 25th, the company will ship you that backup order, and they will charge it to your account. Do you understand that? And they go like, yeah. I say, okay, so let me make sure you did. And I repeat the same over again. So I do it twice. I make sure, I take my time to make sure they understand. And I suggest you do that. Because the only complaint that I've ever heard about Melaleuca is, oh yeah, I was involved with that company and they were shipping products I didn't order and they were taking money from my account. And it's just because somebody didn't explain them how the backup order works. So I make sure I explain them the way it works, because sometimes we don't. This is something that is common sense. If a customer receives a backup order, or I'm sorry, a complete presentation of the preferred program, they will keep ordering. They will order the products because they like their products. But if you don't, if they get a backup order in the first 90 days, they will cancel. So for those of you that are getting started in the business, please understand this. You need to follow up. You need to make sure that those first 90, maybe 120 days, they do not get a backup order. It's really, really important that you understand this. I wish I had understood that when I first enrolled in Melaleuca, because maybe my business would have grown faster. Can't complain, but it took months because we had a lot of bad customers back then. So it took all of the leaders to start doing the same thing, duplicating the same thing. So after about a year, everybody was doing, the presentation the right way. We were explaining the program the right way, and our business continued to grow to different levels. Now, there's 4 stages of a customer, and we need to understand the way they are. Now, this is not 4 months. Understand that these are stages of the customer. Stage number 1 is the month of enrollment. So let's say, for example, that I enroll somebody today. Well, we're at stage 1. Now, look at this. When we enroll them, we kind of, give them suggestions of the products they could use. We call the company. We have them a 3-way call, or we have them right there, or we do it online. But if you pay attention to it, we are doing most of the work. They're going like, yeah, I want that, and sure, here's my credit card, and yes, here's my signature. But we're doing all the work pretty much, right? With Melaleuca, we talked, we call the company, we do all the work. Now, that's stage number 1. Stage number 2 is not month number 2. Stage number 2 is the first month of consumption. So when would that be? Well, if I enroll them today, that would be next week, right? So next week, that's when they're beginning to use the product. We need to talk to them. It's important. It's an important stage, because if we don't, look, I remember when I first enrolled in Melaleuca, one of our customers was, I believe, Monica's aunt. And she ordered some products, and then when we talked to her, a couple months later, she was like, you know what? I love the Mela Power, but it just doesn't last. And we're like, what do you mean it doesn't last? It's 6, It doesn't last. It only lasts like 3 or 4 loads, and that's it. She didn't know, and she was doing the same, she thought it was tied, and she was putting half a bottle every time. It was our mistake because we didn't follow up with her. So you need to follow up with them when? Well, as soon as the products arrive, you want to call them. If you can meet with them, it would be better, because remember, they're on stage 2. They're in the month of consumption. It's a very important one, because now, stage 3, this is critical. This is key, because stage 3 is going to be from the 2nd month to the 5th month. That's when they begin to learn how to shop in Melaleuca. We need to follow up with it. We need to make sure they understand. They learn how to do it over the catalog or over the internet, whatever they want. But we need to teach them how to do it. And at the beginning, they don't. They don't know how to do it. So if you don't pay attention these first 5 months, most likely they're going to get a backup order, and most likely they're going to